All right, basic cross choke. So for the basic cross choke, we're just going to do it from knees, just to really perfect the movement of the choke before we start applying it to any position. So with your partner, you're just going to start from knees across from each other. Anytime we cross choke, we really want to prepare the gi before we start to choke. If his gi is nice and tight and tucked in, it's going to be really difficult getting our hands in there. So we're always opening it up, and one little trick here is really pulling it up like this. And we'll do that from guard, mount, wherever we apply this. So we're always going to turn the lapel outward, and I'll turn him this way so that you can hopefully see a little better. I'm going to turn that lapel out, and I'm going to always feed the first hand in, palm up. I want to get that hand in nice and booted. When I say booted, I want that hand all the way back to where it's like a nice rigid foot there, like we use with our feet with our hooks. I want the back side of my hand on his spine. Okay? That's really the amount of depth I want on this. And when I feed that in there, I'm going to pull this lapel to take all of that slack out. And what you'll find is his center tag will be right there in line with his spine. But when I feed that in, I'm going to pull that center tag clear over almost past my hand. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but here's the center line of his gi. And so you can see how deep that hand is and how much slack I've pulled out. By putting the back of my hand into his spine, one, it gives me depth for the choke, but when I utilize this from guard, it's really going to help keep his posture down. So there's two variations of this, palm up, palm down. The palm up variation is always tighter, but it's a lot harder to get because I have to pass this second hand right through his core, right past both of his hands, and feed that up into the gi to get that choke. So it's generally really easy for him to defend against this if he knows what the choke is. So for self-defense, if they don't know what a gi choke is, that's your best option. We want to look for that palm up variation here. Against a jiu-jitsu person, the palm down variation is generally going to be a lot more effective. Even though the choke itself isn't as tight, the setup for it avoids passing that hand through his defenses. So for our palm up variation, we always want the palm of the second hand. I call this the choking hand because it's the one kind of doing all the choking work. The choking hand is always going to face this first arm. So if I do palm up, it's going to go under. The palm is facing this arm. If I do the palm down variation, the palm is facing the hand. So you can see whichever way I go, the palm is always facing my first arm. So just another note on this initial setup, the more I kind of position myself to this side, the farther I can reach, the deeper I can reach. If I'm really far on this side of him, I run into his neck here and I can't get my hand as deep. So you can see that's about as deep as I can get this hand, but by shifting over to this side, I can now reach it a lot deeper here. So we always want to position ourselves towards the side that we're trying to grab. So for the initial hand, I'm opening the gi, shifting to the side, feeding that hand in, making a nice boot when I grab that to control his posture. And then when I'm ready to go for the second part, I'm going to shift all the way over here. It just puts me in a better position to see what I'm doing, and it puts me closer to the work that I'm trying to do here. So for the palm up variation, I'm coming under, and I've really got to lift this arm up to create the space to reach in deep here. And if I do this correctly, my thumbs should be pretty close to touching, if not touching. That's the amount of depth that I want on this choke. And it is possible to go too deep, but the thing with going too deep is if I ever need to relax this choke, I just open my grip and let it slip. And now I'm in the correct position. Okay? Those thumbs are still close, but if I start too shallow, it's really difficult, if not possible, to get that depth once both hands are in the collar. So from that side, so you can see, hand goes in super deep. You can see how that hand is directly behind the spine. I'm going to shift over to this side, lift my elbow. This hand shoots in deep, and now I'm ready to apply the choke. So to apply this choke, I want my forearms, pretty much this upper portion of my forearm, digging into the artery. So what I'm saying is, can we go too deep on this? It's possible. If we look, that upper portion of my wrist is kind of into the muscle on the side of his neck. But a lot of times, just by pulling on this, it kind of slips down into the position that I want it. And if not, if I feel like I'm squeezing too much on the side of his neck, it'll feel really rigid. I can just let that grip slip a little bit. And now that upper portion of my forearm is digging right into his arteries where I want them. Okay? So before I really even start to put any pressure into this, I want to pull his head into the chest. I'm not using my forearms, my biceps, any of my arms other than what I need for the grip until I've pulled the head into the chest. If I don't pull the head into the chest first, you'll start trying to finish the choke out here, and you'll get bad things like flaring the elbows. Your choke is really weak out here, and you'll, one, be a lot less successful with the choke, but more importantly, you'll start to burn out your arms. And so by pulling the head into the chest, then applying the choke, I'm in a much more advantageous, a lot stronger position, and I'm better able to engage my back, which is really what I'm going to use to finish this choke. So many people focus too much on the hands and the wrist in this, but really the choke is in the elbows. It's me pinching, sliding those elbows past my ribs, and kind of trying to pinch them together behind my back. Okay? Of course, you're not going to be able to pinch them, but that's the motion that we're looking for. And you can see how my chest kind of pops out when I do that. A lot of people will say puff the chest. If that helps you pinch the elbows together better, that's fine. But keep in mind, it's not the chest. It's not the puff of the chest. It's the pinch of the shoulder blades and the elbows that puts the power into this choke. So putting it all together, I'm prepping my gi, shifting to the side, hand in deep, pulling the slack out, shifting to this side, lifting the elbow. Second hand goes in, palm up. I'm pulling the head to the chest, and then I'm pulling with the elbows to complete the choke. Okay? So let the elbows, think of the elbows. When we're grabbing onto something, we always think of the hands. Okay? And it's going to take a while to really think of this as the elbows doing the work and creating that kind of mind-muscle connection there. But it's very important that we don't focus too much on this type of stuff. Although this can help, we can really overdo the hand movement on this as well. And so with the hand movement, what we're really trying to accomplish is just poking the wrist into the artery a little more. But what'll happen is as your wrist comes out of neutral, the neutral position, your grip strength will start to lessen. So your grip strength is always strongest when your wrist is straight. And so when we start to curl the hand in and down like swinging a hammer, and in like we're arm wrestling, it actually starts to take the strength out of that grip. And sometimes what will happen is people will focus so much on this that one, they're not pulling with the elbows, and two, they start to lose some grip strength and their grip starts to slip and they lose that critical depth of the collar choke. Okay? So generally, if I've done everything correctly and I've got the head in the chest and I'm pulling with the elbows, you really don't even need any of this. Okay? I find that I need this when I'm missing something else. he was defending really well, I wasn't able to get super deep, or he's framing on me so that I can't pull his head right into the chest, I'm getting it close. This is when I really have to start compensating by doing this stuff. But as long as everything's set up correctly, I'm taking the slack out, I've got my hands deep, I've got the forehead right in my chest. If I just pull with the elbows, that choke is going to go on. Okay? So for the palm down variation, the initial first hand is never going to change. I'm going to shift to this side, I'm going to open the collar, I'm going to feed the hand in, I'm going to take the slack out, get a nice firm grip. And one little note here too is I'm kind of creating a little mouth here with this knee. I'm pinching that up into the lapel. And that just gives me the maximum amount of fabric to grab onto and really strengthens my grip. If I'm just grabbing onto the lapel itself, there's not as much there to grab onto, and it's not as strong. So that's why we always roll the gi out so that we can create that little mouth back there to hang on to. So for the palm down variation, the advantage of this is avoiding his hands defending the choke and going back here behind his head where there's nothing to defend. Okay, he's got nothing back there to defend with. So there's a couple ways we can do this. We can grab the wrinkle right here and shave the head, or I can just shift to this side and shoot the hand in and grab the wrinkle. Both are great options. Shaving the head allows me to not have to pass my hand through where he can defend. If I'm over here, he can still defend with both hands, not as easily as this, but by coming here, I've avoided those hands entirely. But then we get into the battle of having to shave the head. So they both got their pros and cons. It's great to know both and have both of those options. So I generally don't shave the head. I just come right in here. And what I'm looking to do here on the palm down variation is I'm looking for this wrinkle right here. Okay? And you can see that wrinkle will go all the way down to the shoulder. I don't know how well you can see that, but a lot of times there's multiple wrinkles in this collar, and sometimes there are no wrinkles in the collar. Sometimes I have to create one. So a lot of times one will kind of present itself and people will just grab the first one they see. But the important thing with this palm down variation is grabbing a wrinkle as close to the spine as possible, okay? And if there's not one there, I'm going to create one. And you can see how all I did was just grab the material, fluffed it up, and now I've got a nice big wrinkle to grab onto, okay? So kind of the ideal way to do this is to go with a true thumb in to the collar, but oftentimes that's really difficult to get because when I'm grabbing this side of the gi, it really tightens this up and makes it hard to get the thumb in there. So even though the thumb in is kind of the way it's shown, the way it's done, the thumb in, I usually never do. I just take this thumbless grip and grab that wrinkle right there, as close to the spine as I can get. From here, again, the important thing is pulling the head into the chest and pulling with the elbows. Okay? And making sure that both of my forearms have created kind of this V on those arteries. If my forearms are pinching on the side of the neck like this, and I haven't got a good V here, and my elbows are too close together, I'll be very much on the side of his neck. And so that's when we kind of have to just open the gi a little, open the grip like this to let the hand slide down the gi a little bit to where I've got the nice V just right on his arteries, okay? So that'll take a little bit of playing with, a little communication with your partner. He can tell me, no, it's not there, it feels a little tight up on the muscles. I can lessen my grip, let it slip a little bit, and then he'll tap when it goes on. So one more time with this variation, shifting to the side here, shifting back, looking for that wrinkle, getting a nice palm grip here, cutting this under his jawline. I can kind of pry up on this with my forearm here to get under, pulling the head to the chest, and then pulling with the elbows right here to finish.